Okay, let's try this now.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, yes, we're good.
When in doubt,
Hey.
when in doubt, reboot, right?
Right.
Oh, I need to accept? Okay, I'm going to accept the video. Hold on. I'm getting way too proficient at this. I teach ukulele lessons to my little niece and nephew on Zoom every week. Oh, it's good to see you and
Hey.
hear you.
Okay, I'm going to need you to turn your volume up just a little bit, please.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
All right, let's see if we see anything.
And you can hear me clearly?
Oh, I can hear you very clearly.
Yep.
We need to be louder.
Okay, I'm up all the way. Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, good.
Okay. So we got just a couple of minutes, I guess 5 minutes before we officially are started. And right now, we don't have anybody in the waiting room, so it's just us.
Okay.
And so there is no way for me to scroll information about donations or anything on a Zoom screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you to tell people what it is, but I'm also going to, as I post it to Facebook and post it to our Continental Club YouTube channel, I will also include the information on those.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. So it'll contain 3 different things. It'll be the donations for the Continental Club employees, your merch and donations information, and my donation information for supporting the live streams. Because I did end up having to go to a pro level. I couldn't stay at the free basic level
Wow.
because that only allowed 40 minutes. And
Right.
we just always have too much to talk about. An hour is a general rule, and 40 minutes isn't enough. And if you have more than 2 people in the room, that automatically shuts off at 40 minutes.
Wow. Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm learning a lot about Zoom that I didn't know before.
I love your backdrop.
Same here.
Your
Thank
backdrop looks incredible.
I've used several different backdrops. The only problem with them is that I get a lot of clipping of my hair. So it can be a little bit distracting if I move around too much.
But it kind of looks like your hair's being blown by the wind.
Well, that's what somebody said the last one. And I'm doing these like once every 2 weeks. But one of the things we will bring up today is the fact that we're going to do the special edition with Bill for the Halloween special.
Awesome.
Cool.
Fantastic.
And we've got 3 more minutes.
Okay.
We get started. Did you guys have any questions for me? Or because what I want to do is kind of go with a timeline of usually what I ask people is, what was your first gig? Tell me about your first show, your songwriting influences, who were the people that kind of mentored you along the way. And I will ask questions about how the 2 of you ended up together.
Oh, yeah.
And then from there, we just kind of, play it by ear and whatever.
Oh, it's just great to be with you and to talk to you. You know, this isolation. This is a break from feeling isolated.
We've all had to adapt in very strange ways.
Boy, that's for sure. Okay, people are starting to show up. Dixie is here.
All right.
Let me let Dixie in.
downpours, and then others that are pretty light over the next coming days. But in general, over the next 7-8 days or so, we should all get some nice rain, and we'll talk more about that and those rainfall totals at 5 o'clock.
Just
Okay, 70s
get
tonight,
here.
and then tomorrow, again, the temperatures will be all over the place tomorrow. You might be in the 90s.
Hello.
You might be in the 70s or 60s.
Well, I'm trying to get in here where I can mute
at the
him.
right time of day tomorrow. So keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Austin, 76. Let's go 89.
It's a Zoom meeting.
High.
Okay.
Falling, but again,
Dixie, would you please mute your microphone?
Friday's still a good chance of rain. Saturday's still a good chance of rain.
Let me get back over here to
No.
please mute your microphones. Okay. Thank you, Dixie. Okay, so we're going to start now. We'll be recording, and here we go. Okay, we have the Blues Society, Central PA. That's nice. Welcome. And we are muting the Blues Society. And welcome to the Continental Club Confidential Live. And the Continental Confidential was a newsletter that I wrote for just short of 20 years for the Continental Club. It was a weekly newsletter. And our more advanced website allowed us to discontinue the newsletter, but we have instead gone live now, and we've done several Facebook Lives, and now we're venturing into Zoom territory to be able to interview some of our residency and regular players at the Continental Club, Seaboys Heart and Soul, and the Continental Club Gallery. And today we're very lucky to have with us both Kathy Murray and Bill Monster Jones from Kathy and the Kilowatts. And they have a regular residency at Seaboys Heart and Soul on the first Saturday of every month. And of course, right now that's not happening. We are on hiatus until further notice because of the coronavirus. But please welcome Kathy and Bill. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Diane. Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
And I do have the chat open, so if anybody wants to ask questions, please do so. I do ask that you mute your microphones. And other than that, we're glad to have you here. And I did see that we have the Blues Society from PA here, which is quite exciting. Now, Bill and Kathy, do you know anybody with that Blues Society?
We do. The wonderful people at the Blues Society of Central Pennsylvania asked us to do a show for them. They're carrying on their Thursday night jams every week. And
Terrific.
toward the end of the show, they'll have a band. And they asked us to do it, and it was great. Was that last Thursday? I think so.
It's been about a week.
Last Thursday. So I think Kathy from the Blues Society might be here, and maybe JD and yes, Stephen, who knows?
Cool. So now, guys, I want to start out by asking you, first of all, how did you two meet?
You want to tell it or me to tell it?
I wonder if it would be the same story. A two-story
Two-story house.
Well, as I recall, we were both playing in bands, blues bands in the Austin scene. I had Kathy and the Kilowatts. We're talking probably close to 38 years ago, okay, when we first met. and Bill was playing with a great band. I'm sure you remember Paul Orta and the Kingpins.
Oh, yes.
And Bill grew up in Port Arthur with Paul, and so Bill was a founding member of the Kingpins. And Kilowatts and Kingpins were kind of competing for the same
we were fighting for the same gigs.
And one time I needed a guitar player, and I called Bill. And it's so funny now. Bill says that I was like just all business.
Yeah, she was hard on the phone. I was like, yes, ma'am.
It wasn't an easiest thing. I'm sure you know, being a single woman in the music business. And so he started playing with me. And you know, since then I've thought about it because we lost Paul a year ago, June.
Right.
And we were fortunate to just have a lot of connection with him in the last couple of years and playing gigs with him. He was phenomenal. Thank God we have the recordings of him on the harmonica because he's just a maestro. And but looking back in those days, and musicians that are listening in, and Diane, I know you know this. Back in those days, people didn't play with so many bands at once. You remember that? I mean, it was like you were married to a band, and when you broke up, it was like a divorce. It was a big thing, you know. And so Bill left the Kingpins eventually to play with me. And I look back on it and I'm like, well, it's not like we had that many. He could have probably played with, you know what I mean? But that's how it was back then. So that's how I remember it.
That is correct. That's how it was. And I never thought that we'd have a relationship. I thought I was way under her level. I'd be down here and she'd be up here. So.
Aww. Isn't that sweet?
And when I saw her record collection, I said, oh, look at all these records. I like these records. So that was a good indication. And she had a cat and a dog, and I love that too. So we just hit it off, and pretty inseparable since then, right?
Pretty inseparable since then, yeah. Yeah, we love the same kind of music. And we've kind of expanded that a little bit into our duo. Bill has patience, just, unbelievable patience. He actually has taught me to play rhythm. So we could do a little duo, which it turned out to be just perfect because we kind of need to now.
Right.
But in that duo, we've kind of ventured out into more styles of regional Texas music. I used to, feel like, I was a charter member of the Blues Police and everything had to be straight down the line, B-L-U-E-S, But now, Bill's mastered the button accordion and taken lessons from Santiago Jimenez Jr., Flaco's brother. And so in our duo, we do a little bit of conjunto that I was first introduced to by Keith Ferguson many, many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm. So now, Kathy, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started in music?
I'll tell you something that I have hardly told anybody else, so we'll be there confidential.
And could I get you to speak up just a little bit more, please, honey?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something I haven't told very many people. But I started out as a photographer. And I was, going to photography school and taking pictures of all the bands. I took a lot of early photos, the T-Birds and Stevie Vaughan and everything. And one night, I had shot a whole roll of a Doug Somm show at Soap Creek out on Bee Caves. And it was, as Lou Ann Barton would say, packed to the tits. Okay. It was, and so I was leaning against the wall, kind of resting, and stupidly had my guitar just hanging off my strap on my shoulder.
You need your camera.
I'm sorry, my camera. Thanks, Bill. And somebody took it off my shoulder and disappeared into the crowd, and it was so crowded, and I didn't see who did it, because I was probably feeling no pain myself that night. I didn't even report it. I didn't even tell anybody about it because I knew that I was not going to get it back. But I have kept my eyes peeled for pictures of that show since then, but haven't seen any. So I didn't have my camera, and I was real poor. and so I couldn't afford a camera. I could barely support myself, so I didn't have an artistic outlet, you know.
Mhm.
And then I started going to the Ostex Lounge, Stephen Elaine Dean's 7 nights a week blues, where Magnolia is, across the street from Continental Club on
Uh-huh.
Saturday. And one night, some friends talked me into sitting in. I always wanted to be a singer, but I never thought I would ever have the confidence to do it. And then once I did it, Steve Dean offered me a Sunday night residency at the Ostex that I had for 2 years, and that was it. Yeah.
Wow. And you actually were mentored along the way by some of the great historic blues guys here in Austin, weren't you?
Yeah, my dear friend Blues Boy Hubbard, and we also lost him recently. But he would come out to see me at the Ostex, and then he told me one time, he said, I'm not a singer, but I know about singing. And he said, I have some things I could share with you that will help you. And I was completely untrained. I mean, my singing was like a primal scream back then. It was just motivated by the pain of my childhood, really, basically. And so Blues Boy came over the next day to my little duplex over on Del Curto. And he just went through some stuff with me, and he started telling me to treat my voice like a horn and make the changes like a horn. And I started getting better pretty quickly. And then he started playing gigs with me. So we're talking 40 years ago with Blues Boy.
And what great advice.
Oh, it's what I needed. It's what I needed to hear.
Mhm.
And it helped a lot. It helped a lot. And I played gigs with Blues Boy throughout that whole time. We did a 2-year residency at the Blue Moon that was about 4 years ago, once a month. And he loved Bill, and he liked to tease Bill, because we'd always pick him up for the gig, just make things nice for him, because
Right.
he's just such a regal man, and so much knowledge.
Too, right?
And he's in his 80s, so we'd always pick him up, and Bill carries amp for him and stuff, and he would always tease us on the way home and say, Bill's getting better from playing with him, right? And I'd be like, yeah, Bill, you're getting better.
That's right. Well, thanks to Blues Boy,
I mean,
everything he showed me. Yeah.
Bill's, in my opinion, Texas blues royalty for a long time. But he and Blues Boy played real well together. We have videos of them together
At Seaboys.
At Seaboys.
We took him to Seaboys. So.
Yeah.
So, Bill, now tell me about how you got started.
I got started, well, I was back in Port Arthur, and I had a Hank Williams songbook, and I had a guitar. My mom said, if you quit smoking pot, I'll buy you a guitar. So I said, oh, sure, no problem. So
Yeah, that was a real good deal on her part.
So I got her to buy me a guitar, and I had a Hank Williams songbook and learned Hank Williams. And, a lot of the Hank Williams, it's so strong. The music is like blues, and it's the basis of a lot of the music we like today is the Hank Williams. So I got onto that, and like a lot of other people, that morphed into when the Beatles hit. I love the Beatles and all the other popular genres of the day. And I was fortunate enough to hear a Cajun band at one of my local discount stores.
At a Gibson in Port Arthur, right?
Yeah, it was at like a special, like a Walmart type store in Port Arthur in the fishing department. And
that was Blackie Forrester and the Four Aces. I remember he told me that.
Blackie Forrester and the Four Aces. So I heard this Cajun music, which was original music that I'd never heard before. And that blew my mind. I was like, wow, there's a lot more to this music thing than just what I hear on the Monkees and the Beatles, on TV.
Right.
That really, whet my appetite for more.
Hmm.
So my brothers who were older, went to University of Texas here in Austin, and they would come back and they say, Bill, you got to come to Austin and visit and see this guy Freddie King at the Armadillo. So eventually I took a bus up to Austin and spent several weekends with my brothers. And when I saw Freddie King at the Armadillo, I had to get a Red Gibson 335 and play the blues. That was a big influence on me. So that's how I got started in the whole thing.
Wow. That's a pretty cool way to get started.
And Diane, I was at those Freddie King shows also
Yeah, where were you?
with my little brother David.
Uh-huh.
I didn't meet Bill for like 10 years. I mean, I knew who Bill was, but I kind of thought, he is so good looking and he's a guitar player, so I don't think so. I figured he was a, notch on the, I don't know what, I assumed wrong what kind of guy he was.
Oh, you thought he was a guitar player.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. And he is, but he's a good man.
So, Bill, who were your influences once you got to Austin?
Freddie King, Doug Somm was a major influence. I went many times out to Soap Creek and danced to Doug Somm. I was way into Doug Somm. And through Doug Somm, you look on the back of these records, it tells who's playing with them. So I learned about Flacco. And I learned about Augie Myers and, all these people that Bob Dylan that played with these guys. So, and I learned about these music. So the huge record stores on the drag really did that too. So I spent hours and hours just poring over music like a lot of people do at Antone's Records or whatever, and
Right.
you learn the backstory about a song, and from the origins. And it was Austin. Being in Austin was just like it was like a candy store for a guitar player. As you can say, this is a guitar town, and there's just music everywhere. But you learn where these people come from, and things started fitting together. I was like, wow.
Right.
Yeah. So I love Texas. I love Texas, and I love Texas music and all the regional styles that go from South Texas to North Texas to West Texas, and going over from Louisiana and from Mexico and from the north of rock and roll and all that. So
Right.
I'm very fortunate to live in Texas because it's such a melting pot, like a menudo or a gumbo of styles that we all kind of just pick and choose, and the Texas music always has that swinging element. It's a real hard driving thing, like Bob Wills has always makes that kind of music different than regular country music. It's got a beat and you can dance to it. That's basically what it is, And that.
Well, and I think that's one of the most identifiable things about Texas music is that it's different than music from any place else.
Right.
It just really doesn't compare. You can take a broad genre like country, but you say Texas country, and people know what that sounds like. You say Texas swing, people know what that sounds like. In fact, it's a genre all of its own.
That's right.
And, even Texas rock and roll, Texas punk, you name it. And, people know that it is an identifiable sound.
Yes, very much
That's
so.
true. Bob Wills, just one minor detail. Bob Wills had a song called Ida Red.
Uh-huh.
Ida Red, Ida Red. And you can compare that directly with Chuck Berry, Maybelline. I mean, they meld pretty good together there. So you can see how that's turned into rock and roll. And I took a class, believe it or not, University of Texas had a class on the history of rock and roll, and that was some of the things I learned. I just love that.
Margaret Moser taught that class, right?
Jerry Grigadine.
Oh, that was earlier. Okay.
But later, I did take towards Margaret Moser's, the end of her life, she did teach a informal class at UT, which I went to. It was excellent.
Yeah, one thing that I think was a huge influence on Texas blues is that band from Dallas, the Nightcaps.
Yes.
And how, like, we had a review of our last project by Graham Clark at Blues Blast, and I couldn't believe it. He said, I hear tinges of the Nightcaps in our music. And I realized I never heard the Nightcaps, and it came to us through the Vaughn brothers, because Jimmy still does. What's the name of the song? Thunderbird. What's the word? Thunderbird?
What's the word? Thunderbird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I felt like, wow, that guy's listening really close.
Now, the Nightcaps are the same as Little Charlie and the Nightcaps, or are they two separate bands?
Little Charlie and the Night Cats with a T. That's
Oh.
Charlie Beatty with Rick Estrin.
Uh-huh.
And Rick Estrin now has, he calls it Rick Estrin and the Night Cats with Kid Anderson is his guitar player now. And I actually had a co-write with Kid Anderson and Rick Estrin on Frank Bay's recent record. We lost Frank Bay right after Sally Bankston and Nola Blue Records released All My Dues Are Paid. And so I got to do a co-write with Rick Estrin. I first met him when we opened up for Charlie Beatty and the Night Cats at Billy Blues in San Antonio many, many years ago. And then the Night Caps. It's like, what's the word? Thunderbird. All you kids in Texas. You know that.
And ZZ Top recorded that as well.
That's right.
ZZ Top.
Uh-huh.
And the Vaughn brothers were way into
So
that.
Jimmy Vaughn was majorly influenced by the Night Cats.
Cats with a
Night
P.
Caps, right.
With a P.
So, and Jimmy Vaughn, majorly influenced by his playing with the Thunderbirds. So I used to go to all the if Thunderbirds were playing, I was usually there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we were so lucky. And we're still so lucky.
We're almost at 30 minutes right now. So what I want to do is take a little quick break here to have you tell people where they can find your merchandise and where they can make donations to y'all during this coronavirus shutdown.
Okay.
Oh, right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. Well, you can certainly find our CDs, all 4 of them, at Antone's Record Shop. And I believe they're doing curbside. So we really want to support Yves Montse and Mike Buck and keep that place going. Also, Amazon has our stuff. Kathy Murray and the Kilowatts .com has a tab with all of our merch on it also.
If you open a Google window, just open a Google window and search Kathy Kilowatts with K. All our stuff will come up and you can hunt us down real easy.
Yeah.
Okay. And now for donations, you have both Venmo and PayPal.
We do, and we're so grateful, just for anything. People have been really generous. Our Venmo is at Kathy Kilowatt, and that's Kathy Kilowatt with 2 Ks. And our PayPal is paypal.me/Monster Jones.
Okay. So K, Kathy.
That's right, K.
K Kilowatt. And that's a kilowatt without an S.
Yeah, that's right.
With
Right.
Kathy
No.
Kilowatt. Kathy Kilowatt.
Right.
That's right.
And Monster Jones.
That's correct.
Okay. And also I would like to mention that we also have a donation page for the Continental Club, Seaboys, and the Gallery employees. And you can find that at www.continentalclub.com/closed. I hate that link, but that is our information page telling people about our closure for during coronavirus. And it also is where you can make donations directly that will go 100% to our employees. And then you can also visit our merchandise page at continentalclub.com/Austin-shop. And there you can buy merchandise, and 100% of the proceeds of the sales minus the cost of production goes also to the employees of all 3 venues.
I
believe we also have a link up for Houston Continental Club as well.
Oh, that's good, Diane. I know a bunch of people that have gotten T-shirts, and I just want to say, my Sea Boys T-shirt. It's one of those T-shirts that feels good, that you reach for it. You know, it's really nice.
Yes.
This women's cat, and we know a bunch of. There's just.
Well, I remember I bought a bunch of stuff. When this thing hit, and it came up about helping out the Continental Club through the merch sales.
Uh-huh.
I went there and I spent about $60. I bought a T-shirt and all kinds of pins and patches.
And you
and
love
stuff.
everything you got.
Yeah, I put it all over my stuff. I like having bling all over my things.
I know folks out in California that ordered.
There's really nice T-shirts on the site. There's just all kinds of styles too. And what I did, I cut the sleeves off, to kind of give it that homey look, you know. And,
Right.
And we want to support Steve Wertheimer's clubs because there's nothing else like those clubs. Supporting songwriters. You can do original music. A lot of the clubs have 3 shows a day, 7 days a week, original music. There's, you know, the support of the awesome musician and the awesome songwriter by Steve and his clubs and you, Diane, it's matched by
when
nothing.
people think of Austin, they think of the Continental Club, you know, and Sea Boys and all that stuff.
We're blessed.
And as well, but that's one of the top clubs, so we are grateful for that.
Well, no question about it. Steve has been certainly the guiding force through all of these years. He opened the Continental Club. It has operated continuously as the Continental Club since 1955. And there have only been 3 owners during that entire time. There have been other leasers, but not owners. And Steve was the 3rd owner, and he's had it since about August of 1987. And it was closed at the time for renovations. And that was when he took down the wallboard and discovered the original murals on the wall.
I didn't know.
Oh, the French.
They're all European street scenes. So it's like, I think it's Madrid and Paris and Rome. And I don't remember what the other one is. But anyways, he uncovered all of those during that renovation process in 1987.
Wow.
So December 31st of 1987 was Steve's first night of opening the Continental Club. And I believe Grey Ghost was the one that played for that opening.
That.
Yeah.
He used to live in this neighborhood where we live.
Yeah, we used to see him down at the Minimax.
Uh-huh. Oh, he was something else, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I love me some Grey Ghost. When he would play at Antone's, I'd go over to his shows, and he would always send me over to Milto's to get him dry toast. And of course, Milto's didn't really make toast, but they would do it when I would go in and say, well, Ghost wants some toast. And they'd know exactly.
Ghost wants some
Toast.
I might steal that and write a song about it.
That's right.
Wow.
So I also want to bring up, there is one more donation spot, and that is to me in support of the Zoom interviews that I'm doing. We have had to upgrade to Pro, and so it is costing me a little bit of money to be able to do this. And so if you have it in your budget to be able to help out, it is, okay, wait a minute. Which one am I using? Okay, if it's Venmo, it's dscott1141. And oh, same thing for PayPal. PayPal.me/dscott1141. I have too many, between all of the venues and all of my own stuff, I have too many email addresses.
Oh, I know it.
It's a brain drain remembering everything that you have to do to stay online.
So now, did y'all get to either participate in or view any of the red alert restarts last night, where all of the businesses, the music venues were all bathed in red light, and it was a national deal, and it was a big one.
Yes, I changed my my profile to red, and we
Oh.
watched Mike Flanagan and Sue Foley did a really cool video cruising down South Congress, looking at Sea Boys and
Uh-huh.
club. Yeah, I appreciated him doing that.
Yes. Yes, that was very good. And they both had very heartfelt things to say. It was very sweet.
Yeah, I saw a picture of Tipitina's face.
Yeah, about that.
So now let's talk about songwriting. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
So, Kathy, tell me all about it.
Well, okay, I'll try to start from the beginning, okay?
Okay.
So when I started having a band, I was mostly doing Magic Sam covers and different covers. And I got Magic Sam's West Side Soul and Black Magic, listened to it. I used to cry because I was like, oh, I want to sing like Magic Sam, but I'll never be able to, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And but I listened to it over every day. And then there were some songs that didn't really say exactly what I wanted to say or everything that I wanted to say. So I started making up extra verses to some songs. And that led to me starting to write my own stuff. And I was real nervous about presenting it to my band. I think I had written 3 songs before I met Bill. And but they liked it, and the songs, you know, fit into the set, and so that was cool. I did not play an instrument when I started songwriting. I did not know. I couldn't really tell you what a 1-4-5, what that meant. I wouldn't know what that meant. But, you know, music, it's up here. So, I mean, I wrote some fairly complex songs like These Lonely Hours before I could read or play an instrument.
I try to figure out what she's singing, and I try to make chord change. She goes, no, that's not it. And he goes, oh, that's it over there. That's the chord, okay? And
so he was real patient about that, which was awesome, you know, because I didn't play an instrument. And I didn't really feel like a songwriter for a long time because I didn't play an instrument. Even though I look back, and I'm pretty proud of some of the songs that I wrote back then.
Well, I would think so.
You know, I mean, I didn't know how to write when I wrote Expensive Love. I mean, you know, how to play an instrument or anything. So anyway, I started writing my own stuff, and I got my own process going. And one thing I learned was anytime you have an idea, you got to write it down right then. Because you might think this is so great that you're not going to forget it. And you always do. You know, you always do. Or you're sleepy and you're dreaming it, and then you don't want to get up, you know. But I got to discipline myself to make myself write it down and then have all those scraps of paper. And some of them would just fit into a song like they were meant to be together.
you should have seen the scraps of paper around here. There were scraps of paper.
Dianne, there's still scraps of paper. I still got to do that. And then one thing I learned was it's not cake until it's cake. So don't rush it, and don't ever be afraid of a rewrite. You know, you can move stuff around as much as you want. Sometimes things that started as a chorus, like on Spell It Out, ended up being a verse, and there was a completely different chorus. You know, all kinds of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then one really good is that Bill will schedule recording sessions. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready yet. You know, I don't have enough songs, you know, together yet. They're not finished. But he kind of, you know, and I work well under a deadline. I really do. And so, on our last record, Premonition of Love, Freddie King's little brother, Benny Turner, became a really close friend of ours. He has some great projects out on Noah Blue Records. And he agreed to play on that record. And so, you know, and he was going to be in town just for a short time, so that, you know, Bill was like, I have to book these sessions for this time because he's going to be available at this time. I'm like, huh? You know, because I was like, I got to have something that captures those days when I first saw Benny Turner playing bass for his brother at the Armadillo, like in '73. That's the first time I ever saw him. Benny, you know, is the Freddie's bass playing brother. He had a big afro back then, and he would dress really cool in these platforms with black and white striped. I mean, he was, and he still is. He is the coolest. Hi, Benny, if you're out there. And so he was going to be on there, and so it forced me. It forced me to finish 4 songs that I was going to record with him. And they turned out pretty good. I think, boy, his parts are just pinch me, you know. That was really great.
And some of Kathy's songs that she goes, I say, what about this song that we've kind of played with? She goes, oh, no, it's not ready. Oh, no, it's not ready. And I said, well, let's just go cut it anyway. And on the way to the studio, she like changed the word, like, oh, I got it now. It's all crystal clear how it should all be.
Yep. I don't know. You know, songwriters probably all out there, you know, you feel like sometimes the creator kind of just gives you something, you know.
Right. Right.
You know, that I've been staring at this thing for 20 years, trying to make it right, and it's not. It was seriously. And then all of a sudden it comes to you on the way to the studio to record it. So, you know, and it's interesting. I remember that I used to write, you know, pretty much done me wrong blues songs, because that's kind of where my mind was at. And I remember being in this house, because we've been here for 34 years, in this house in East Austin, and I remember thinking to myself that I was so happy married to Bill, and I realized I need to write a happy song. I need to write a song to reflect that, you know. And so I came in this room. This is my music studio, and I wrote Each Kiss that afternoon, you know, with writing something happy, you know. But you know, I got enough beliefs in me to write sad songs for the rest of my life. That's for sure.
But it's not all. The subject matter is more current with what you're doing, you know, too, though, and we're observing a lot of things. And it's one good thing about this COVID thing is that we've had, now that we can't go out, and we've made sure that we don't. It's forced us to examine things that we wanted to work on. So I've been spearheading that we take time out to reflect and you know, do some deeper thinking about what's going on today and messages that you want to talk about.
And record some stuff that doesn't fit in with Kathy and the Kilowatts. Like the song, it's a country song, and it's called "It Goes Without Saying," and you know, it was always on the back burner, but we had time to do it. So that is a silver lining to this, you know, these really difficult times.
I think a lot of people are, if you will, exploring other creative outlets, or immersing themselves much deeper in whatever their chosen creative outlet is. I know there are a lot of songwriters that have said that they have found this to be a fairly prolific time for them, because they have the time to do it, and they have just more space to do it in, you know, because we're kind of in a cultural void of sorts. And when you have a void, the universe wants to fill it.
That's correct.
And so I'm actually doing a lot more art than I've done in years, painting. And you know, I had never.
Amazing paintings.
Thank you. I had never really explored watercolor to any extent, and recently I have, and I've been selling paintings. It's amazing to me that that's what's happening. But I know a lot of other songwriters have said that it's like there's something so freeing about having this much time available to them, that, well, it's difficult because we're all struggling to make ends meet. At the same time, there is something about that that just seems to be sparking the creative nature.
Right, because normally we're running around playing gigs all the time.
Yep.
That, you know, that each one takes a pound of flesh, you know, it just does. if you care enough.
Now, I do want to make a note to all of our guests that are watching. If you have any questions that you'd like to have answered, you can go in the chat on the chat screen and ask away, and we'll see if we can get that answered for you. And also, the lives, these Zoom lives are actually going to be posted as videos to the Facebook pages for the Continental Club Sea Boys and the gallery. And they will also be on the Continental Club YouTube channel, which is Continental Club ATX as one word. If you separate the ATX from the Continental Club or the Continental from Club, you're going to end up with a million videos that have nothing to do with Continental Live. So this is Continental Confidential Live, and this is number 3 with Kathy Murray and Bill Jones from Kathy and the Kilowatts. And now, if you had to choose any song to have written that you didn't write, what would it be?
For me, you know which one yours would be?
Boy, I don't know. The ones that make me cry.
Leon wrote songs for you.
Yeah, a song, singing a song for you, Leon Russell.
Yeah, that would definitely.
And
be one of
there's
them.
Ray Charles does the Lucky Old Son.
Oh,
Ray Charles, Lucky Old Son.
it would be nice.
It's hard to get through a listen without a Kleenex on that one. You know.
It'd be nice to that.
What about you?
Well, I said it's not for you.
Oh, a song.
Let's see.
How about the Chris Christopherson? We've been listening to some Chris Christopherson.
Of course.
We saw on YouTube the story of me and Bobby McGee.
Uh-huh.
And he was telling about how that song came about, and a really interesting story, you know, and how the guy he was working with came up with the title, and then he just kind of filled in the blanks. But it was interesting to see how it layered up, you know.
Yeah. It was amazing.
It was.
And that Janice cut that right before she passed. And he said he had to listen to her recording over and over and over and over and over.
And that's one thing.
To be able to keep
That's one thing about Kathy's songs. I love all her material. I just love it, and I just love to hear when somebody else covers one of her songs, because songs sometimes when they get the right artist and the right song comes together, it's magic, you know.
Right.
And when Kathy has certain artists like do some of her stuff, it's like, wow, you know, that song really took a couple notches up. It's nice, you know.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one I wish I'd written. Jolene.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my hair just stands on end. What a work of art. I mean, and to me, that song, I mean, think about it. It's only been 100 years since women have been able to vote.
Right.
I assume, I mean, women couldn't own their own paychecks or own land or inherit. I mean, your husband, you were dependent on him and your children. You had to make that work, you know.
Right.
To me, the song is Jolene. You know, the woman singing it, the protagonist, is just watching her whole life, possibly just, and her children's, go down the tubes, just maybe for the whim of Jolene, you know.
Right. If you want a real treat, here's a tip. Sam Williams, who is Hank Williams' grandson, Hank Jr.'s son,
Right.
has recorded Jolene. Now, it was in a live performance. He did it. It's a video of him doing Jolene, and it is amazing. And he idolizes Dolly, and so him doing Jolene to me is like the biggest treat to hear this. I mean, he's now either 23 or 24, 23, I think.
He's
and
played in the Continental Club, right? I believe
and
he's played.
has this really amazing voice. And so to hear him sing Jolene is quite a treat.
I will definitely.
It'll be interesting to see how he does a gender flip.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that is
And he sings it straight. I mean, he sings it exactly the way Dolly wrote it. He doesn't change up any of it.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Ringo of the Beatles would sing a song and he wouldn't care, you know. He'd sing songs sung by women all the time.
Or he sing boys.
Right.
Boys, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, of course, Sam also raps a lot of Nicki Minaj.
Are you saying that Sam has played the Continental, right?
I believe so.
That what?
Didn't he play the Continental Club?
He hasn't yet.
Oh, he hasn't.
No. He just made his Grand Ole Opry debut last fall. And so he's got a new single coming out hopefully soon. And his debut album comes out in January. So
Well,
hopefully once he's touring, we'll be able to have him at the club if we're open by then.
Thank you for hitting me to that. I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So now, Bill, I want to ask you, what is your favorite song to play?
My favorite song. Well, I love, like, being a Freddie King fan. I love playing the Freddie King instrumentals. He was a big instrumental player in the early '60s when everyone was playing surf rock, and then Freddie King, his big number was Hideaway.
Right.
So I've learned that one note for note. And when they'd always have the Freddie King tributes at Sea Boys, I always loved that because you get to hear all those great songs, you know. So that was just a big kick for me.
You played
I played Hideaway for that. That was a big thrill.
And Kathy, what's your favorite song to sing?
Let's see. Let me think about it for a minute. There's a number of them, but These Lonely Hours, I love singing that. It's a ballad. Another song that I love singing, but I'm always, you know how sometimes you write a song that's so dirty that you're embarrassed to sing it? that is tricky, you know. Like, I can sneak stuff in, like A Bird in the Hand. I mean, it's a double entendre, and it's actually kind of a dirty song. But I don't think that most people would really, you know, because, you know, oh, this nice girl singing this song. They don't realize what I'm singing sometimes, you know. Tony Price recorded it, and she told me, oh, you are so bad. So bad. But there's this other one that I do, and to me, it's Texas blues. It's definitely from all those nights of listening to Stevie Vaughan and the Thunderbirds, Jimmy and Kim Wilson and Keith Ferguson. And it's what I wrote, and it's called Room for More. And it's just a bump and grind, body Texas blues.
Uh-huh.
And Bill always wants to do it. And oftentimes we're somewhere, and I'm like, I don't know if I pull that one off tonight. we were playing it one time at Opus, that restaurant down there on South Lamar. During South by, there was some kind of little showcase thing. And Bill, I didn't see this. Tell him what happened. Like, anyway, Bill said,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
He saw this girl at the bead shop next door. We were playing Room for More.
Outside.
And he saw this young girl get out of a car with, looked like her grandmother. And she starts going.
Yeah, she started doing like a little stripper move. And the grandmother, because that's the kind, you could dance the stripper moves to that song. And the grandma was like, don't you do that, get back over here, people are watching. And I just laughed so hard, it was so funny, like, she gets it.
She felt it.
Yeah, you felt it. Like little kids, they're just, you know, uninhibited.
Yeah, when I was up in Ohio, my 3-year-old great niece, they were playing it on their TV, of us doing it at the Continental. And she started bumping and grinding. I'm like, uh-oh, you better watch out. She may end up like Aunt Kathy.
Stay off the pole.
My favorite song in that vein used to be, if I can't sell it, I'll keep sitting on it. I ain't going to give it away.
That sounds like it's an old blues song.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
No.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and I can't remember if it was Ma Rainey or Sippy Wallace. It was one of those girls, anyways. And it was about a chair.
Oh wow, isn't that cool? My 9 and 11-year-old niece and nephew, my brother David and his kids, um, they love this song of mine called "Let's Do This Thing." And the first line, there's a line in there called "Ding Dong Daddy Got Me Under His Spell." And I always thought, to me, Ding Dong Daddy kind of reminds me like, a Don Levy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's an early black woman singing a blues song about Ding Dong Daddy, right? And to me, Ding Dong Daddy means a hep cat, right?
Right.
But the kids
They asked
asked Alexa, you know that thing that they have?
Uh-huh.
They asked her, Alexa, what does Ding Dong Daddy mean? And Alexa said, an idiot or a penis. And those kids, they couldn't call me fast enough to tell me that what I was singing about. I'm like, great.
We did get a question. Edmund House is with us, and he wants to know, do you sing Willie's Crazy?
Oh, I have a story about that.
Okay.
And hi, Marv. That's M. Edmund House. Is Marv. He's the gentleman that's been videoing the Austin scene like nobody else.
Cool.
Okay, so I lied earlier about the first time I ever got on stage. It wasn't at the Ostex. I realize it now. The first time I ever got on stage was at the Caucus Club on Red River, which was a political club that Ann Richardson and all of them used to hang out at.
Uh-huh.
And Moses Vasquez and Speedy Sparks, Miller Sparks, he was playing bass. Richard Elizondo, the four-fingered drummer, really, I don't know if you remember him, but he was on drums, and they asked me to sit in. Oh, Bill Campbell was also playing guitar. They asked me to sit in, and I was completely clueless. I was like 18 years old, and they asked me to sing Crazy, and I was like, oh, well, I can do that. Well, the key was really completely wrong for me. I'm sure it was the most god-awful. Joe Nick Potosky was in the audience that night, and he still gives me crap about it. And as I exited the stage from my first big moment, there was a woman sitting there, she goes, what school of music did she go to? So Marv, I don't sing Crazy anymore.
There's a little more to it than just singing the words.
My question is, Marv, did you already know that story, and that's why you asked?
I don't remember if you did or not. Beautiful song, though. Wow.
Yes, it's quite beautiful. It's weird to think Willie Nelson wrote that.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard a story about Willie Nelson when he said when you wrote Crazy, at first he had, I'm stupid, stupid, but then he got crazy.
Yeah, he's like,
so it was from stupid to crazy. So that was a
right.
Good.
That was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, very interesting.
See, he wasn't so afraid of a rewrite.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the TV show Songland?
No.
It is really an amazing show because it's about songwriters. And instead of being like a contest or something like that, what they do is they have 3 seasoned professional songwriters with hits galore. And they have like 4 different songwriters that come in. They tell a little bit about their story, and then they present a song to a guest artist. So the artist may be, I don't know, Little Big Town or, oh gosh, I don't know. And they get people from every genre too, to be the guests. And they're all pretty big names too. And then the songwriters that present their songs, they present them in their own voice with a backing band that's available. And then the guest artist has to choose 3 of the 4 songs to be developed in collaboration with one of the professional songwriters. And you get to watch the entire development of a song from its basic form that the songwriter presents to the finished product that is finally presented to the guest musician. And the process is amazing. And I have enjoyed it. I think it's been on for either 2 or 3 seasons now, and I watch it religiously because it's so much fun to see the development. Because, you know, each person on that panel hears it with a different ear, and yet they collaborate. You know, it's like as the songwriter is presenting their song in the raw form, these 3 songwriters, and sometimes the guest artist as well, are all kind of collaborating on the song on the fly right there.
Wow.
And then if it's chosen to go into further production, then you get the one-on-one. And I'm just fascinated by it. The whole thing of songwriting fascinates me anyways.
Oh, I would love to watch that.
Yeah.
You know, having a cell phone with you all the time is such a gift. Like I have this little app on there, and all it does is just make little quick recordings. You just hit a button, or you can rename it or delete it. And because it used to be, I would have to get with, you know, before I played an instrument, I'd have to get with the musician right away if I had a melody in my head, because I might lose it. Well, now, anytime I have one, I've always got my cell phone with me.
Right.
And it's just, wow, it's an amazing tool.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. Yeah. Yep. And Marv says, no, I didn't, but I'll remember.
Good, good.
So guys, we have reached our 1 hour mark. And so I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a blast having you here.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks for having us.
Remember, y'all, you can catch Kathy and the Kilowatts on the first Saturday of every month at Sea Boys Heart and Soul. Once we're finally back in operation and everything's a go, we'll be looking forward to having y'all back.
That's going to be a beautiful day.
It will indeed. So thanks, y'all, and thank y'all for tuning in. And until, let me see, in 2 weeks, I don't have a confirmed guest yet. I should have within the next couple of days. But I'll be back in 2 weeks with somebody, and it'll be interesting. I'm guaranteeing you that.
Thank you so much.
So until next time, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.